Welcome back to the Sportsbook Draft, where FanDuel's pick is in.
With the first pick in the 2025 Sportsbook Draft, FanDuel selects the Kentucky Derby.
Brilliant pick, as FanDuel becomes the first sportsbook app where you can bet the Derby.
Just a savvy move by a savvy franchise. New customers get a no-sweat first bet on the Kentucky Derby up to $500.
It's like they know each other.
What do you think Rob's saying to him right now?
Probably something about oats.
Hey everyone, Ashley Mailloux and Mike Beer here with the Daily Racing Form, looking at a pick 5 this Friday at Churchill Downs. It's Kentucky Oaks Day. That's going to end the sequence. And this preview this week is going to be presented by FanDuel. And we know it's a big couple days of wagering. Mike can wager on Friday, can wager on Saturday. And FanDuel has a promotion that we do want to talk about really quickly here. And it's the no sweat bet. And this is the no sweat first bet for new customers. You can get up to $500 back in racing bonus. So check out FanDuel Racing under the promotions tab to get more information. And it's a great weekend and a couple days of racing to use a promotion like this. A lot of different wagering opportunities across those 2 days at Churchill. I'm mentioning though, that's one promotion that's going on. Also, if you need to get past performances and need to get other access to the betting strategies, the player's guide, clockers report, as we work towards Kentucky Derby 151, you can save up to 39% on a package. Please visit shop.drf.com to get that information and learn more about the deal that we have there on the website. But we mentioned wagering opportunities galore. One of them is an all-stakes pick 5, and it ends with the Kentucky Oaks. It starts with the La Troyenne, race number 7 of 13 on the Friday card. And Mike, just overall, what were your thoughts on the sequence? There does appear to be a couple of heavy favorites sprinkled throughout.
More than a couple. I was going to ask you, do you think this thing going to chalk out on us here? We're a few days away here. We're doing this video pretty early, so there's time to, change your opinion on some of these races. But I'm going to say, when I went through it, 3.5 of these races, maybe even 4, have very heavy favorites who are going to be hard to beat.
I would agree. I think it's probably 3 of the races, the 7th, the 8th, and the 10th. And I do think the interesting thing, though, the 10th, at least, I think if it's going to be a heavy favorite, there's 2 ways to go, and maybe people will be in different camps with those 2 mares in that spot. But curious to see how it pans out. And I think this is where it starts. It starts in the Grade 1 La Troyenne, mile and a 16th on the dirt. And this is where I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to put a number out there. A lot of people are going to single, and if they're going to single, it's going to be Torpedo Anna.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. I mean, she's just way the horse to beat here, not to put too fine a point on it. She's just been really good. If you're concerned that her first 2 starts this year aren't particularly fast, as far as figures go, I guess maybe that will get you to take a second look, but she's won those races easily. We're going to do a separate preview for this, Ashley, so I don't want to go into it too much. How much are you concerned that Randomized comes off the layoff in here with a lot of speed and sort of makes this trip maybe a little bit different for Torpedo Anna this time?
I don't think I'm super concerned with it. She can rate. She's fine doing it. I think you mentioned the figures aren't the same figures that we saw at different points last year. But I do think as you watched her race as a 3-year-old, she got better as the season went on. I think that could be the case with her. And the trips in the Travers, even in the Coaching Club American Oaks, I mean, being there, being even a length and a half, 2 lengths off of it, I don't think it hurts her. And Randomized maybe will be a play for some having that speed. But the layoff's a question. We only saw her 3 times last year, and it was 2 consecutive starts to the shelf, 1 race, and back to the shelf. And personally, I don't love that.
I agree with you. Good call, though, on the tactical speed of Torpedo Anna, because she is able to stalk. It's just sometimes can be tricky to have to let a lone speed go and then try to time it right to go after and maybe not get hooked up into a duel. But again, we'll talk about that more in the individual preview for this race. Randomized, though, it's also worth noting, came off the layoff last year with a real stinker.
Yeah, was not a good effort in the Ruffian, was well defeated as the favorite. Now, look at the key use defend, and I have a feeling neither of us are going to be really creative. We'll start with your key use defend here first for the La Troyenne, and talked about it. I mean, Torpedo Anna is the horse to beat, and not saying that she can't be beat, but based on her resume to date, she's the most impressive filly or mare in this group.
Not getting out any information that people haven't already gleaned for themselves there. She's very much the horse to beat.
All right, so we'll take a look at mine, and it's going to look identical. I don't go in a different direction here. I don't see the value in doing so. And obviously, if she is second or third best, this thing is going to be blown out of the water, huge payouts. And maybe that's what some people will do, but I'm just not willing to kind of throw my money around like that. So we both here are going to single the 2 Torpeda Anna in the La Troyenne. We'll move to the turf in the 8th race. It's a grade 3 event, mile and an 1/8, the grade 3 Modesty. And maybe this is another race where people will single once again. And if they're doing so, I have a feeling it's going to be the 7 She Feels Pretty, who had a sensational 3-year-old campaign, but she is going to race off the layoff.
Exactly. Yeah, she was really, really good as a 3-year-old and just got better as the year went on. And if anybody told me they were singling her too, I couldn't argue with them. She's really good. Her last 2 races in particular were really, really strong. We'll move on from this just because she's way the horse to be. I wanted to use other horses in here. I realized that she could easily win this at a short price. I wanted other horses as well.
Okay, so use other horses. We'll take a look at your key use defend here. And on the morning line, a couple of horses are pretty much close to second choice. And you'll use one of them here who I do think is interesting. The 3 Suggesta here for Chad Brown, who could be part of the pace potentially or close to the action early.
She's pretty handy. I wouldn't mind seeing them, get a little aggressive with her here, maybe to look for the lead if the pace wasn't going too fast. But we'll see. This is a pretty long layoff, actually. But my opinion, early last year anyway, as far as the 3-year-old filly division was concerned, was that she was the best one. And that was before Cinderella's Dream came over for Godolphin, and she was really good. And She Feels Pretty obviously got way better the last few months of the season as well. But at the time that this filly was racing, I thought she was the best one. I really liked all of her races. I thought her Belmont Oaks was really good, going longer than this. I don't know. We'll see how she comes back off the layoff. I just think she's super talented. She'll be value in this race. So I wanted to use her with the favorite.
And you can see your defend here are the 1, 2, and the 8. The 1 Ways Mischief, a big price at 20 to 1. The 2 Give Me Another, second time out now in the Grand Motion Barn. And then the 8 Saffron Moon. And those last 2, they both exit the Hillsborough, which is a little bit of an interesting race.
Thought it was hard to split them off of that performance. I do like the form that Saffron Moon has come back in this year. And so she's pretty dangerous in here, but Give Me Another ran well in that race also. I wanted to use Waves of Mischief somewhere just because I think she's way better than she looks on paper. I'm going to not hold the QE2 Cup against her. I don't know what happened in there. She was awful in that race, but before that, I thought she was pretty good.
Yeah, and it's interesting too to kind of look at her performance in the Hilltop. I mean, she feels pretty in there. I don't think she ran that poorly. I know she was well defeated, but I think the trip worked a little bit against her. She was further back early on.
It was only her second career start.
Absolutely. And I think she's intriguing. For me, I'll probably use her in the exotic Waves of Mischief, but I like that you're using her to hopefully maybe potentially build in value as a defend horse. Now, we'll look at my keys defend, keeping it simple. I do think the 7 She Feels Pretty is simply the filly to beat in this spot. But for me, looking at the others, that being the 2, 3, and the 8, who was I most intrigued by? It's going to be the 2 Give Me Another, who was a decent price on the morning line in the Hillsborough, took a lot of respect. And as one of those South African shippers, I think she gained a lot out of that first start stateside. The ship, the quarantine can be very hard. Grand Motion, though, has been getting more of these types of racehorses and doing well with them. And I think there's just going to be some upside on this one. Second start now since April of 2024. So that's race 8, the grade 3 Modesty. Will move to the 9th, the grade 2 8 Bells, 7 1/8 of a mile on the dirt. And this is a race that I found really difficult when we look at the slate here for the 8 Bells. It's a big field, but I don't know. It was tough for me to even narrow it down to a handful of horses.
I agree. This is a wide open race, and it's not going to be an easy one to get through here. A big field, and just felt like you could kind of make cases for a lot of different horses in this race. I even felt like there was going to be a fast pace in here, which made me take a second look again and start trying to pare it down even more.
Well, look at your keys defend. A great thing that you brought up is the pace, though. There is a lot of pace on paper, and curious to see who's going to be able to close in this event. I just think the fractions could be blistering early, and we'll start it off here with the 7, 10, and the 11. Those 3 being your keys.
Yeah, the pace was part of that for sure, especially as it concerns the 10 Mandela, who I thought her debut was good when she was a little green there, sort of drifting inside, and that might have cost her through the stretch. She came flying last time to break her maiden. I was really impressed with her maiden win last time. I'm going to use her, even though she's stepping up into a very, very tough spot here. I expect her to come running late. Impulse Buy showed that she can rally from off the pace. In her most recent start, all of her races are good. I thought she was very logical in this race. The other key for me is the 11, just sort of hoping that she would be, a better price than some of the other horses in this race. And I think she fits really well in this race, and I think she's a sprinter. I know they tried to stretch her out to get her into the Oaks, and it didn't work out. think she's better going shorter.
Yeah, when I look back to the Santa Ynez, that's the race that scares me a little bit for look forward. There's just something about her now cutting back in distance that I really think could suit her, and she's tactical enough. Sure, the buyer is not that flashy, but I don't care. I think there's something to like in that event. Your used horses, you'll use the 6 here, Kimchi Cat, was able to take them gate to wire last time out off the layoff in the race at Oaklawn Park. And then the 12, Eclatant, who put in a pretty big effort in the forward gal.
Yeah, that effort. I don't think the last effort from Kimchi Cat will win this race, but I'm a fan of hers, and I think she's pretty good. And I think she has room to improve. Also, I don't think she's a horse who needs to be on the lead. So I'm hoping that she can sit a little bit at a price and maybe get in there somewhere. I think you and I are both fans of the 12, Eclatant, and I don't want to lose to her in here necessarily in the pick 5, but I also don't want to have like most of my money tied up on her. So I just think this race is way too tough to take the favorite. I just threw a couple of more horses in there to defend. But these are 2 horses who have spent a lot of time on synthetic. But I think they're both pretty good.
And you mentioned the favorite. Eclatant's 5-2. Another horse that's a little bit of a shorter price is the number 5, Verity, at 3-1 for Owen Hardy. Was able to win the Beaumont. And that's one of your defend horses here. The other is the 9, Bourbon Memory, who I have some interest in. 4 for 4 in the career, but dirt's a lot different than what this one's seen in those last 4.
Yeah, it's a real question, surface switch here, but at least she should be a fair price in this race. So I'm happy to use her. Verity, she's tougher for me to defend if she's going to be one of the favorites in here. I'll be honest with you, I handicapped this race before the morning line. I didn't think she was going to be 3-1, but I guess we'll see how they bet it.
All right, so we'll look at my keys defend here. Similar but different. I guess where I place horses is slightly different. I'm going to kind of use 4 horses here in this key spot. 7, 9, and 10, we've all talked about it. Agree with you. Mandela, based on debut, second time out, took a step forward. I think this horse is very interesting, especially if the pace is quick. Also in there is the 9, Bourbon Memory. At that price or anything north of that, I'm willing to take a chance on a Bolt Oro going on the dirt. I'm not worried. The works look fast enough. So I will use Bourbon Memory in the key spot. And then from there, the 10, Impulse Buy. Can be quick, but also could sit from off of it. We saw that last time out at the 6.5 furlong distance where they were blistering early. This one was able to motor by and win by 2.5. And you can see I went 7, 9, 10, but I haven't talked about the 2. Evanescence is a horse that there's something about the way that this filly goes at a big price I'm really intrigued by. I know the buyers aren't at the same level as others in here, but to me has done very little wrong in the career to this point. So willing to use this one at a big price, like the effort last time out at Keeneland. The use for me is the 5, Verity. So this was a defend for you. This is a use for me. The Beaumont figure, I thought came out pretty good. It was an 84. The way that this one was able to prevail in there, it was good and has been able to kind of keep that win streak going. We'll see if the sloppy track played a little bit of a role in that performance last out, going 7 ace, but I think this is a horse that I felt like I had to use somewhere. And the defend for me is Eclatant. And I loved Eclatant in the forward gal. And I'm not saying that I don't like her now, but my concern with that race is not the way that she did it. It's the fact that she went to the shelf, and now we're talking about racing February to May, and there was no other spot for her. I don't know why they took more time with her. They've clearly done this in the past and had no issues, but at that price, I don't find her that attractive. I was shocked that she paid $10 to win in the forward gal. So that's the middle leg of the pick 5. We'll move back to the turf now, flip-flopping. Race 10. Grade 3, 5.5 furlong sprint, the Unbridled Sydney Stakes in a field of 9. And have a feeling based on sort of our overview of this sequence, this could potentially be another single leg for the players out there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how everybody decides how they choose between the 2 California shippers, who in my opinion are they're the way the horses to beat in here, the 4 and the 9. Personally, and I get every reason to like AG Bullet in here, and she is the horse to beat. She's a really cool horse. She's really fast. She can do anything. I really like every single race that Queen Maxima's run for Jeff Mullins. I think she's a real good horse. She's very handy too, so I don't think the outside post is any issue for her. I just prefer her, and I'm hoping that they're not as close in price as the morning line suggests they're going to be.
All right, so AG Bullet 8-5, Queen Maxima 2-1. We'll look at your keys, defend, and is then Queen Maxima a single for you? Okay, key single. But you're going to have those 2 horses that you're going to defend, which is AG Bullet, and then as well the 6 Bling, who's an interesting horse. I thought the last out effort was all right. I know the figure wasn't quite there, but for return to the races, you have to think she gained something out of that.
Yeah, she's a really tough call in here just because she's run some really good races and she's run some really bad ones too. It's hard to get a read on when she's going to show up and when she's not, but she certainly showed up off the layoff last time. I thought she ran really well in there with no chance to win. If nothing else, maybe this pace goes a little bit more in front of her this time and gives her a chance. She'll be a great price in here, and I'm a fan of hers. I wanted to use her somewhere. I'm really leaning on the 9 in here, but it's not like I don't want some backups. I recognize that AG Bullet could easily win this race.
And it's tough to try to, I don't know, distinguish between the two. I mean, they're both very talented. I think if you're looking at the level of competition, sure, AG Bullet has seen the tougher races, but you wonder about running style, how this is going to pan out. Horses that, have fared well over the downhill. They've also, raced at Del Mar. There's cases to be made for either. And as we look at my keys defend, I felt like you couldn't use both of them. Just felt like I had to make a decision, and ultimately it was the class for me for AG Bullet to give this one the nod. Also, the fact that you look at the matriarch in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint against the boys, different trips, but still shows up. And I know these are 2 losses on her resume, but one's at a mile and one's against the boys on Breeders' Cup Day. I'm not going to hold that against her. I think when you look at some of her performances, Kentucky Downs, the race before that, I think she is the horse to beat. And I do think if anyone beats her, it's the 9. It is Queen Maxima. But just from a value standpoint, with them being 8-5, 2-1, you have to make one decision, and this is going to be my hard cut here in the sand. So go with the 4. Going to hope that this one fires the better race. Now, obviously, the sequence ends with the feature this Friday at Churchill Downs, the Grade 1 Kentucky Oaks, $1.5 million. Mile and an 1/8 on the main track for the 3-year-old fillies, and it's a field of 14. And once again, we talked about the 8 Bells being a spread race. I think this is another race where you need coverage. Unless you really think Good Cheer is the horse to single. I can't single her in a field of 14 where the waters are deep.
Yeah, you definitely got to start the race off talking about her, though, because she's 6-5 on the line and she's undefeated. And really, it hasn't been close in any of her races so far. So I guess we'll see, how much of an advantage she has on this field. Based on the speed figure, she doesn't really have an advantage. So it made me, not want to, just sort of, rely on her. I do think she's really good, actually, to be honest with you. I thought I was going to be way more against her when I started handicapping the race. And by the time I was done, I really wasn't. She's the horse to beat.
That sounds like you trying to go against the favorite. Well, look at the keys defend here for you for the Kentucky Oaks. And you mentioned the conversation sort of starts with Good Cheer and the reasons that you either love her or you want to try against, playing against her. And you'll use her in the key spot, but you'll also use 2 other fillies in here. The 3, Fondly, who I think has a ton of potential. You really don't know what you're getting. And then the 10, Take Charge Milady for Kenny McPeak.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right spot for Fondly. Maybe it's going to wind up being too much too soon. She can run, though. She's really, really talented. I don't forget about her speed figures and all that stuff. Her debut was a really, really good performance and pointed her out as a super talented horse. Second career start in a stakes race, stretched out in distance, she wins again. I don't know. I like her as a horse. Again, I recognize this might not be the spot, but she's a huge price, and I am going to have some money tied up in her in this race. Going back about 2 months, Ballerina, Take Charge My Lady, rather, was my Kentucky Oaks horse. I was waiting for her to get here, and I wanted to bet her in this race. Some foot issues going on now. It sort of turns me off a little bit that maybe she's not coming up to this race 100%, but if she is 100%, I think she could easily win this race. I'm a huge fan of her, so I'm going to stay positive on her and hope everything is okay with her on Friday. Got Good Cheer in there. And then this is a race where I feel like you have to take backups. The race is way too wide open behind the favorite.
And if the speed unveils kind of on the front end, you have the 5 Quick Kick, the 6 Ballerina de Oro, both horses that can close as your use and your defend are the bookends of the field here. Starting with the 1 on the inside for Saffie Joseph Jr. early on. She really hasn't done anything wrong. I know she hasn't won her last 2, but she has been still performing and showing different sort of running styles. And then as you look at the 14 Quiet Side, a filly that I probably underestimated when she had those seconds, and she seems like she's really gotten into form in those last 2.
She's kind of logical in here. I feel like she could be the second choice even with the outside post, and that doesn't thrill me because I'm not sure that I think she's that much better than some of the other horses in here, but we'll see how the betting all shakes out. Early on, I want to use because I think she's gotten better since they stretched her out. I really liked her at Aqueduct last time. I thought that was a great spot for her, and she made it close in there. I thought she was only second best anyway. Still thought she ran well, and I wasn't looking to bet her back out of that race, to be honest with you, but she's 30-1 on the money line, so I'm not going to let her knock me out. Ballerina de Oro, I think she's really talented. If the pace goes, she'll come running in here. She's still super green. Like, she doesn't really want to get down to serious business and race horses, but she can run a little bit.
You can look at my keys, defend, and somewhat we have some similarities here. In terms of the key spot, I'll just use the 10 and the 11 where you went 3, 10, 11. I'm with you. Take Charge Milady has been the horse that's probably captured my eye the most. And you mentioned the foot issues. They have been described as minor. I know they're still kind of debating what the next few days look like and if she'll still make it to the starting gate. But if she's in the gate, I'm still playing her. I'm not really concerned about it, knowing that Kenny has been very vocal about these foot issues, similar things with Render Judgment. And I think by being transparent, you kind of have an idea of what they're working with and the severity of it, and they'll make the right call here for the horse. So love her running style. I think she can be more tactical if she needs to, but she can close from off of it. I think she had a ton of issues in the Honeybee. We know she scratched out of the next race in terms of the trail at Oaklawn Park to get the extra week to go to the Ashland. And I liked what I saw from her in the Ashland. I mean, Lakara, who is a use for me in here, again, they just let her get a lead like that. That's what happened in the Suncoast. She's very dangerous and bold on the front end. So a horse that I will use in the use situation. Just going back here, Good Cheer. Obviously, the resume doesn't have a blemish on it. My one knock on her, I don't know what she's really faced, considering she's going to face some fresher faces to this point in her career. And you talked about her figures. They fit this group. It's not like she's miles ahead of the rest, and it's not like she's had a huge progression. We're talking 3 straight 86s, an 89, and a 91. Not that she necessarily needs to take a huge step forward, but really excited to see her in this spot against this caliber of sort of racehorse. Then finally, the defend for me is Quiet Side. Really like what Johnny Ortiz has done with her. I mentioned I've kind of doubted her at different points. I just wonder, with how I see the pace sort of setting up, she's going to take a little bit more pressure, not just maybe pressure from one horse, maybe it's a couple of them, and how it's going to pan out for her from post 14. I don't think the post is a huge issue, but we know that she's going to be somewhat close to the action early on. So that's how we see this 5-race sequence. We will take a look, though, at our tickets here to get that full view. And as we mentioned, we're not getting creative early. I think the sort of portions to get creative, 8 Bells is one of them, as well as the Kentucky Oaks.
Yeah, I ultimately decided to single Torpedo Anna here. It not really spreading around too much. The 9th race is the one, and obviously with the Oaks as well, but the 9th race was the one where I wanted the most coverage, maybe. And we'll just see. Hopefully not all of these favorites win, Ashley. This ticket, I never bet it exactly this way using that ABC method, but I do want to play a couple of different tickets here. This one here is, less than $70 if you just play it straight that way. And we'll see how it all works out here. I'm hoping to beat at least a couple of these favorites here and try to get this thing to pay a little bit.
That's all it will take, even if Torpedo Anna wins. But if she feels pretty is beat, if AG Bullet is dominating in the pools and Queen Maxima gets the job done, those little instances do kind of build in some value there in your pick 5 ticket. So that's Mike's ticket. We'll take a quick peek here at my ticket. And for me, just the 2 singles, that being AG Bullet in the 10th race on the program, the Unbridled Sydney Stakes, and then to kick things off, a La Troyenne, I'll go with Torpedo Anna there for Team McPeak. But I found the 8 Bells to be the most intriguing race on the sequence. I think that goes for horizontals, verticals, you name it. And also another wagering opportunity. There is a true late pick 5 that starts in the 8 Bells. And that might be something that I look at, knowing that race 12 and race 13 have 12 and 14 horses entered in those races respectively. So affordable tickets from both Mike and I for the All Stakes Pick 5 this Friday at Churchill Downs. Don't forget, FanDuel has a great promotion there for up to $500 back in racing bonus for new customers. It's the No Sweat First Bet. You can read all the details on the FanDuel Racing website under the promotions tab. And we just keep on talking about it, Mike. This is a great weekend for wagering, the 2 days, Friday and Saturday. A lot of homework to do and a lot of money to be potentially won.
Yeah, got to get involved here and try to hit some prices. There are plenty of opportunities.
All right, 13 races this Friday out at Churchill. Good luck in all of your wagers, and good luck if you are playing the All Stakes Pick 5.